Good afternoon, Fort Riley Elementary. It is Kimberly Smythe here, and I'm going to be talking to you guys today about cyberbullying. Everything that we need to know about cyberbullying and how to best help our students here at Fort Riley Elementary. So what is cyberbullying? Well, cyberbullying is when a child or a group of children target another child and torment, harass, humiliate, or embarrass the child using an electronic device. Why do they choose electronic devices instead of traditional bullying? Well, a lot of times the child cyberbullies think that the electronic device will act as a barrier to separate them from their victims. So they feel that they can go on their computer or their phone or their iPad and message different students, send them texts, or go on different websites or chat with them, and that they can be more anonymous and that they won't be found. So who are these targets for cyberbullies? Well, ultimately, it's anyone that is different from the bully. That can be based off of their race, off of their sexuality, their financial status, their religion, their achievement in school, or any other reason that that bully can find that is different from them. So really, that doesn't leave anyone that could not be affected by a cyberbully. So what does cyberbullying look like? Well, there are 10 forms of cyberbullying, 10 ways that we normally see it. The first way is exclusion, meaning that the bully will keep them away from other activities online. So maybe there's a group of students chatting, and they always make sure to leave them out of the chat. They can't be part of it. Or there's harassment, meaning that they're always bothering them, picking on them, making comments all the time. Then there's outing, which means that when they're in a chat or on a certain website, they publicly humiliate them, saying something embarrassing about them in front of their friends. Then there's cyber stalking, meaning that every time that the victim tries to get away from them, the cyberbully continues to follow them around. Then there's fraping, which means someone logs onto the child's account and acts like them. So they might have gotten their password, and now they're saying all these things and posting all these comments about them that everyone else can see, but it's not the actual person. Then there's creating a fake profile. So this means that they deliberately take someone's picture that they know and they create a profile about that person, even though they are not the ones that created it. There's also dissing, which means that they are damaging their reputation. So they're saying things about them that is not true. Also trickery. This one is very hurtful to the victim because the cyberbully acts like their friend and gets to know them until they open up and share personal information, and then the cyberbully goes and passes it on to others. Trolling is when they're deliberately poking to get a response from someone. So they just keep going over and over until they finally burst and say something and get a reaction. And the last one is catfishing. The difference between catfishing and creating a fake profile is that the catfish takes a random person's picture and pretends that they are that person. And then when they find out later, they try to deny if that person ever finds out that they took their picture. Out of all these things, all of them can be hurtful to the victim. Now, there are other forms of online harassment. So they did a poll of different teen cyberbullies and just different teens in general, and asked them what are some things that they've done online that hasn't been kind to others. And 35% said that they had sent a screenshot of someone's status or photo just to laugh at it with their friends. 25% had trolled somebody in an online game. 17% liked or shared something online that openly mocks another person. 16% had done something to subtly annoy somebody that they didn't like online. 12% had sent a nasty message, either privately or publicly, to someone they knew offline. And 5% had created a fake profile and used it to annoy or upset another person. So when we look at all these examples that teens had shared, a lot of them go back to the top 10 forms of cyberbullying. So maybe they only did it once, but still that was a way of harassing somebody and could be the start of cyberbullying. So some statistics that we need to know about cyberbullying. Well, a third to a half of the youth in the United States have been targeted by cyberbullies. 70% of school students said that someone had spread rumors about them online. 61% of teens say that they are bullied because of their appearance. So of all those different ways bullies can pick on, that over half of them, it's because of the way that they look. 73% of middle school and high school students experience cyberbullying on school grounds. So that means they're on the electronic devices, having to deal with this while they're at school. 1 in 6, or 15% of online teens, say that they've experienced unwanted forwarding of private communication. So again, that could be something like that trickery, someone that they thought that they were a friend and then they're forwarding it to others. And the last one, this one is very hurtful because the top 3 platforms for students to be bullied on, the first one is Instagram, 42% of them. And second is Facebook, also 42%, but because there were more users on Instagram, that's the reason that that one got first over second. And the third is Snapchat. When we look at all those things, we can think about how they could communicate with each other, private messaging, messages that they believe to be deleted. But the thing about cyberbullying and electronics is that nothing is ever truly deleted. So we also need to look at the effects on the victims of cyberbullying. Well, the first one is depression. The student can get very depressed off of what's going on. They could also have more social anxiety, so wanting to communicate with others, make new friends. They could have lower self-esteem about themselves. They could begin skipping school, and then that in turn turns into bad grades and even bad health, worrying about what someone might say. They could also turn into a bully themselves. They get so tired of getting picked on that they turn into somebody else and become the bully. And the worst result of cyberbullying is that the victim could commit suicide because of what someone said. The thing that we need to remember the most about cyberbullying, though, is that the effects of it are long-lasting. Because when it's cyberbullying, it follows you anywhere. They're on your phone. It's there on your computer. It's not just at school where you can leave, go home, and get a break. It is 24/7 that the victim is being bullied. So what are the steps that we should take to stop cyberbullying? What do we need to teach our students? Well, first, we need to teach them to report it. They need to come to school and tell someone if they see cyberbullying. They need to tell a parent. They need to report it to the website. Have those people blocked, kicked off of that website if they are bullying other people. They also need to collect evidence. If people are posting things online, they need to take a picture so then they can show that and use it as proof about how the cyberbullying is happening. Also, they need to care for the victim. They need to check in on that person that was bullied. How are they feeling? How are they doing? We want to make sure that their mental health is all right. We need to ultimately tell the bully to stop. It is not okay with what they are doing. But you need to make sure that you're not joining in with the bullying. You need to just stop it and also keep yourself safe. We need to teach them that they need to have parameters so then they do not become the bully's next victim. And last thing we need to tell them is that if they are the victim, don't give up. Please tell us at school about it so we can try to help them and we can get it resolved. The answer is never okay to be bullied. So why do we need to intervene with cyberbullying? Well, according to the U.S. Department of Education, they did a survey of principals and their reporting of cyberbullying from 2010 to 2016. So in the course of 6 years, they looked at how often cyberbullying was being reported. So as you look at this chart, you will notice out of the 4 different areas of the frequency of cyberbullying, you will see that daily and weekly went up from 2010 to 2016. You will see that monthly also went up from 2010 to 2016. The occasional also went up from 2010 to 2016. And the only one that went down was the percentage in never, from 37.7 to 19.1. You're like, yes, it went down, but that's not a good thing. This is the frequency of principals reporting cyberbullying. So back in 2010, only 37.7% of principals could say that there was no cyberbullying at their school. But now only 19.1%. can say that there's no cyberbullying going on at their school. So this shows that we need to start helping our students even more to help them be successful. So how can we intervene with cyberbullying? Well, the steps that we need to take, first off, we need to educate parents. We need to tell them that they need to monitor their child's online activity, check in on them. What are they doing on their phones? What are they doing on their computers? They also need to talk to them, not allow them to be closed off in their rooms. They need to encourage their child to speak up if something is wrong, and also just spending time with their child to learn to see if there's any changes in their behavior. At school, we can do something called the method of shared concern. Sherry Bauman says that you can talk with the bully, talk with the victim, talk with the bystanders, examine what is going on, and then address the problems either individually or as a group. There's also deterrence bullying, which means you discuss possible future scenarios, like what could happen if they continue to do it, what are the negative effects, and normally that will stop the process. Also, just having a positive school culture, connecting and interacting with the students will help deter that cyberbullying. And finally, we need to make sure that we are following the bully prevention laws that are set in place in 49 of the 50 states, so we make sure that we are not violating any for bullying and harassment that could be going on electronic devices. As a last resort, according to the USD 475 handbook, if none of the other interventions work, we can resort to suspension of the student, expulsion of the student, and also law enforcement if it is needed, which hopefully will never go that far. So my final thoughts for you today is we all want the best for our students, and the best way to help them now is to continue building relationships with them, looking for signs of cyberbullying and letting them know that you care. Because we are the Buffaloes, big and strong, and we want to help all of our students be successful and not be afraid to come to school. If you have any more questions or want to know any more about cyberbullying, you can look at the websites that I researched for this presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to answer anything that you need. Thank you for supporting all of our Buffaloes, and have a great day.